You've got a great Shopify store. It's doing well in your home market. And now you're looking out, seeing this massive potential across the globe. But how do you actually make shoppers feel, truly at home, enough to trust you, enough to actually buy, whether they're in Tokyo or Berlin or Rio?
Yeah, it's a huge step.
It's definitely not just about translating a few words. It's really about understanding cultures, different payment systems, expectations that are, well, completely different from your own backyard.
Exactly. It's the big difference between just being available internationally and actually, converting those international visitors into loyal customers.
Yeah.
The nuances, that's where the real challenges are, and the opportunities too.
Absolutely. And that intricate challenge, cracking conversion rate optimization or CRO for international Shopify stores, well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're taking into insights from a really comprehensive article titled Shopify CRO for International Stores, the Conversion Bible.
Yeah, it's a good one. It sort of gives us a roadmap, doesn't it? Starting from the basic foundations, the store structure, and moving right through to those hyper-local tactics, the stuff that really makes a difference market by market.
Right. So our mission today is to distill this down for you. What are the absolutely crucial nuggets, the key takeaways from this source you need to grasp, to navigate the complexities of international e-commerce, get past those cultural hurdles, and really boost your conversions worldwide?
And understanding how to boost those conversions everywhere you sell, it's just fundamental, isn't it, for scaling any e-commerce business successfully?
It really is. And this deep dive into mastering international Shopify conversions, it's powered by Growth Suite. Growth Suite helps you run smart discount campaigns right on your store to boost sales. So if you want to see how targeted campaigns can lift your numbers, you should test it for free on your Shopify store. Just land on the Shopify App Store now and test it for free.
Okay, so let's kick things off. Where does the article start? It looks at the global e-commerce landscape, sort of heading into 2025. And the big picture is cross-border commerce isn't just growing, it's really accelerating fast.
And what shoppers expect globally?
Yeah.
It's higher than ever, right? The source highlights a few key things they basically see as non-negotiable now.
Like what?
Things like speedy shipping, having local payment options easily available, and a truly seamless mobile-first experience. These aren't nice-to-haves anymore. They're the baseline.
Right. Mobile commerce isn't just a channel. For so many people worldwide, it's the primary way they get online and shop. Plus, those habits we all picked up during the pandemic, valuing online convenience, security, they're sticking around. You just have to meet customers where they are, usually on their phones, with an experience that feels local and trustworthy.
Okay, so before you even think about changing a button color, you need to really internalize these global demands. Makes sense. But how does optimizing for, say, the whole world really differ from optimizing just for your home country?
Yeah, this is where it gets interesting. Domestic CRO is, well, relatively contained. You're usually dealing with one culture, one language, one currency, payment systems you know well. International CRO, it just explodes that complexity. Suddenly, you're juggling multiple distinct markets. Each one has its own mix of language, currency, local habits, different rules, cultural norms. It's a lot.
That sounds like a huge leap in complexity. Is the upside just reaching more people, or is there more to it?
Well, the source points out something really compelling here. Because you're making changes across potentially, dozens, maybe hundreds of markets.
Yeah.
A seemingly small CRO improvement, something that might give you maybe a 1 or 2% lift domestically.
Okay.
When you apply that across all your international traffic, it can translate into a massive absolute increase in total conversions and revenue. That leverage, that amplification, is really the why behind tackling all this complexity.
Okay, I get it. Small wins, but multiplied globally. Huge potential impact. So where do you even begin building a store that can handle all that? The article gets into the foundational structure next.
Right. And the very first really fundamental architectural question is this. Do you run everything from one central Shopify store, maybe using features like Shopify Markets?
Oh.
Or do you go the route of setting up completely separate Shopify stores for different countries or regions?
What drives that decision? What are the trade-offs?
It's basically a trade-off. A single store, often simpler for your day-to-day operations, probably lower overhead, maybe easier to keep your brand and promotions coordinated globally. But managing things like really diverse local inventory or very specific tax and duty rules or unique shipping carriers in lots of different countries within that single store, that can get complicated fast.
Right.
Separate stores give you that really granular control, every detail for each market. But managing multiple storefronts obviously adds significant overhead. cost, time, complexity. The source suggests looking hard at your budget, your long-term international goals, and just the sheer number of markets you're planning to enter. Those factors really influence this choice.
They mentioned Ruggable as an example, didn't they?
Yes, exactly. Ruggable is highlighted because they apparently managed to centralize a lot of their management, probably using one core system to keep costs down. But they still present a localized face, a local feel to customers in each market. It shows you can aim for efficiency without sacrificing that local touch, but it definitely takes careful planning to strike that balance.
Okay, architecture decided. Then comes the money part. Currencies, taxes. The article puts a lot of emphasis on Shopify markets here.
Yeah, Shopify Markets is really designed to tackle those core pain points, showing prices in the local currency and handling regional taxes and duties more easily.
Yeah.
The insight here is simple but absolutely crucial. Showing prices in the customer's own currency isn't just convenient. It builds immediate trust. It reduces friction.
Yeah, if I see prices in dollars, but I'm shopping from Europe, I'm instantly doing math in my head, worrying about exchange rates.
Exactly. And nobody, absolutely nobody, wants surprise import duties when the package arrives.
Kills the whole experience.
Totally. The source stresses how important it is to handle taxes and duties up front. Either include them in the price that's delivered duty paid or DDP, or calculate them clearly at checkout. Surprises are conversion killers. And beyond the currency display, you have to think about local payment methods. Credit cards? They aren't king everywhere.
Right.
Digital wallets like Alipay, WeChat Pay, even local bank transfers or, cash on delivery in some places. These are dominant in many regions. You must integrate the preferred local payment options. If you don't, you'll see huge drop-off at checkout.
So it's way more than just Visa and MasterCard. You need to know what people actually use day to day in that market.
Precisely.
Which leads us nicely into language. The article says this is way more than just running text through Google Translate.
Absolutely. True language localization. It's all about cultural nuance. I mean, think about how different Spanish sounds and the phrases used in Spain versus Mexico, or Portuguese in Portugal versus Brazil. A direct, literal translation can sound really awkward or unnatural or sometimes even cause misunderstandings.
Like using slang or a turn of phrase that only makes sense in one specific place.
Exactly that. Content that feels natural, that speaks to customers in their own voice, that builds trust. It makes them feel genuinely understood. And while translation tools are, a decent starting point, the source really emphasizes having content reviewed by native speakers, people familiar with the local culture, the common expressions.
And that applies to everything. Product descriptions, marketing.
Everything. Product descriptions, marketing copy, website navigation, even your customer support materials. It's about crafting a genuine connection, not just conveying information.
Okay, so structure, currency, and payments language, that's like the bedrock. How do you then layer specific conversion optimization strategies on top of that, tailored for each market?
All right, this is where we move into adapting the actual experience. Cultural adaptation of design is a big one. Colors, for instance, they have different meanings globally. Red might mean luck in China, but danger or warning elsewhere. Layout preferences can vary too. And the people in your images, they really matter. Customers need to see themselves reflected or at least feel some connection to the visuals you're using.
And what about trust signals, like badges and seals?
Hugely important, especially for cross-border purchases.
Yeah.
Local trust badges, security seals that are recognized in that specific region, testimonials from customers in their country. These provide critical reassurance. They show you're a legitimate, safe business to buy from, especially if it's their first time purchasing from you internationally.
It's like proving you're a credible player in their local market, even if your headquarters are oceans away.
Exactly.
We touched on payments earlier, but the article circles back, emphasizing how diverse those regional preferences are.
Yes, because it's so often the make or break point at checkout. You really need to identify the dominant payment methods for each target market marked. Think UPI in India, ideal in the Netherlands, maybe cash on delivery in parts of Southeast Asia and make them prominent and super easy to use. Integrating these isn't just nice, it's often non-negotiable if you want to unlock conversions in those specific regions.
And transparency around all the costs involved, shipping, duties.
Vital.
Yeah.
Absolutely vital. Nobody likes hidden fees showing up at the last minute. Clearly stating shipping cost up front, maybe offering a duty calculator if that's relevant, setting realistic delivery expectations. All this builds trust. The source also highlights simplifying returns policies. Making returns clear, easy to understand, and hopefully not too costly removes a massive barrier for international buyers. They worry about the hassle of sending something back across borders.
Yeah, that makes total sense. These are all about building trust and removing friction points that are really unique to international transactions. Okay, let's switch gears a bit. Let's talk technical optimization. What needs tweaking under the hood for a global audience?
Right, this covers three main areas: mobile performance, international SEO, and site speed. First, mobile. Even though usage patterns vary, optimizing for mobile is critical everywhere, full stop.
Why is that?
Well, you need an intuitive design for smaller screens, buttons that are easy to tap accurately, and images that are optimized, compressed so they load quickly even on slower mobile connections or where data is expensive.
The article mentioned a specific win here, right? With Walmart.
Yes, it highlights Walmart boosting their conversions by around 20% through significant mobile optimization efforts. That just shows the sheer scale of impact mobile performance can have on your conversion rates globally.
Wow, 20%. Okay. Next up, international SEO. This isn't just translating your keywords, is it?
Not at all. It requires a very specific technical SEO approach. Things like reflang tags, they're essential.
Reflang. What did they do?
They tell search engines like Google which language and regional versions of your pages exist. So searchers in Germany see the German page automatically, not the English one. It ensures the right content gets to the right audience. You also need to do specific keyword research for each market. Understand how people actually search locally. What terms do they use? It might be quite different from your home market. And potentially use geo-targeting as well to help point search engines towards the correct regional versions of your site or specific pages.
So you're not just guessing what search terms people use in France or Japan. You're actively researching it.
Exactly. And once they do find your site, speed is absolutely everything, especially when they're accessing it from the other side of the world.
Latency must be a real killer.
It absolutely is. And that's where content delivery networks, or CDNs, become so important.
How do CDNs help?
They basically store copies of your website's static content images, CSS files, JavaScript on servers located all around the world. So when someone visits your site from, say, Australia, the content loads from a server nearby in Australia or Asia, not all the ways from your main server in maybe Europe or the US. It drastically reduces load times.
Makes sense.
And beyond CDNs, all the basic site speed optimization techniques, compressing images, minimizing code, optimizing scripts, they become even more critical globally. Because internet speeds vary so much, every single millisecond you can shave off counts.
And those core web vitals everyone talks about for SEO, do they matter for international CRO?
They absolutely matter globally for CRO too.
Yeah.
A faster, more stable loading experience, which is what healthy core web vitals generally indicate, directly correlates with lower bounce rates and higher conversion rates. That's true no matter where your customer is located.
Okay, technical foundations covered. Mobile, SEO, speed. How do we make the actual shopping experience, the user experience, feel genuinely tailored and local?
Right. This is where localized content strategies really come into play, going deeper than just basic translation. Can you make your product descriptions more engaging by maybe referencing local events or tastes, or even using a bit of local slang appropriately? Can you feature testimonials prominently, specifically from customers in that region? That adds huge credibility.
Or maybe run promotions tied to local holidays that wouldn't make sense elsewhere.
Exactly. It's all about showing you understand and appreciate their local context. The goal is to make them feel like you're a brand that really gets them, not just some foreign company pushing products.
What about navigating the site? Does that need to change internationally?
It can, yeah. While keeping things generally consistent is good for usability, how people mentally categorize products or expect information to be structured can sometimes have cultural influences. You also need to double-check that menu items and category names still make sense and fit reasonably well after translation, because language lengths can vary quite a bit.
Right, a short English word might become a long German one.
Exactly. Good, clear navigation combined with a really robust, localized search function, one that understands local terms and maybe even misspellings, is essential. You want customers to find what they're looking for quickly and easily, no matter their language or how they prefer to browse.
And then the final critical step, optimizing that checkout flow.
Yes. The checkout. This is where so many international sales fall apart. Your checkout process needs to be highly adaptable. Think about address formats. They vary wildly from country to country. What fields are required? In what order? Phone number validation needs to handle different international formats.
It's little details that can cause big frustration.
Huge frustration. Even the choice of fields, the arrangement. It can all impact completion rates. And, as we already hammered home, integrating those preferred local payment methods right there, making them obvious and easy to select. Non-negotiable.
And things like Shop Pay, if available in that market, can obviously help speed things up too.
Yes, anything that makes the checkout experience faster, more familiar, and feel more trustworthy is paramount globally. Every single point of friction, every moment of doubt increases the chance they'll just abandon the cart.
Wow, that is a lot to optimize across potentially many different markets. How on earth do you keep track of what's actually working, what's not?
That brings us neatly to the testing and optimization frameworks the article discusses. You absolutely need to be constantly experimenting, and A/B testing is a core tool for that.
Running A/B tests across multiple markets. That sounds complicated.
It definitely adds a layer of complexity, yeah, but it's essential. You might test different headlines, button colors, calls to action, maybe different trust seals, checkout flows. The challenge, as the article points out, is that smaller markets might not have enough traffic volume to get statistically significant results very quickly. So you might need patience, or you need tools that allow for proper geosegmentation.
So you can specifically test a change just for users in France, for example, and see if it works there, even if it doesn't work in Japan.
Exactly that. Understanding that regional performance difference is absolutely key. But maybe even more insightful, according to the source, is doing actual user testing with international audiences.
How does that work? How do you find those users?
Well, there are platforms out there. The article mentions Testa, Testbirds, Uber Testers as examples that connect you with testers in your specific target markets. Watching someone, say, in Brazil or South Korea, actually try to navigate your site, find a product, understand the shipping costs, and go through the checkout process, it's incredibly revealing.
I bet.
They'll run into issues you never anticipated. They'll react to design choices or phrasing in ways that seem strange from your perspective, but make perfect sense in their cultural context.
That kind of feedback must be pure gold for finding those real-world friction points.
It absolutely is. Now, interpreting feedback across different cultures can be tricky in itself, but the insights you gain, they're invaluable for making those crucial adjustments to really fit local norms and expectations, and that directly boosts conversions. And underpinning all of this testing, all this optimization, has to be solid data.
Right. Analytics specifically set up for international performance.
Precisely. You need to set up your tracking, whether that's in Google Analytics, using Shopify's built-in reports, or maybe other platforms so you can easily segment performance. By country, by language, by currency, you need to monitor those key metrics religiously. Conversion rate per region, average order value by region, bounce rates by language or country, traffic sources for each market. This data tells you where you're winning, where you're struggling, and critically, where to focus your optimization efforts for the biggest impact.
Data-driven decisions, but on a global scale.
Okay.
Beyond these sort of core strategies, the article also touches on some more advanced tactics for really pushing international growth.
Yes, things like personalization. Really leveraging user-generated content, or UGC, and building robust loyalty programs. International personalization means using tools maybe to show product recommendations or website content that's specifically relevant to a user's region, or perhaps based on their local browsing behavior, or even local weather.
Like showing winter coats to someone browsing from Canada in December and maybe swimwear to someone in Australia at the same time.
That's a simple example, yeah.
Sure.
But it can get much more sophisticated, especially with AI-driven systems dynamically changing content. The source actually mentions a brand, Amwa.
What did they do?
They saw an impressive 11.4% order click rate just by implementing personalized product recommendations. So that level of relevance, it clearly resonates and drives action.
Wow. And UGC, user-generated content, we know it builds trust domestically. How do you leverage that internationally?
It's incredibly powerful when you localize it. Don't just have a generic global feed of reviews. Feature customer reviews, photos, videos specifically from shoppers in that region.
So someone in Germany sees reviews from other Germans.
Exactly. Seeing positive feedback from someone in your own country feels far more convincing, far more trustworthy than seeing a review from someone halfway across the world. It provides powerful social proof that directly addresses that cross-border skepticism. And of course, make it easy for customers to submit those reviews in their local language.
Makes sense. And finally, keeping those international customers coming back. Loyalty and retention.
Yeah, crucial for sustainable international growth.
Yeah.
You don't want just one-off purchases. You can offer global loyalty programs, sure, but maybe include local perks or discounts that are particularly relevant or appealing in specific markets. Use targeted communication email, SMS, whatever's appropriate locally to announce new products or run promotions tailored to regional interests, maybe tied to local events or holidays. Building that loyal customer base in each key market provides those consistent, predictable revenue streams.
These aren't just abstract ideas, though. The article backs this up with some concrete case studies, right?
It does, yeah. Real-world proof makes it tangible. They highlight E. Marinella, a luxury brand. They apparently achieved 42% online sales growth internationally
Wow.
by carefully balancing their global brand prestige with tailoring their messages and product presentation to local tastes and cultural contexts. It's that balancing act again.
That tension between maintaining a global brand identity and adding those crucial local touches seems like a recurring theme. What about in fashion?
Fairfax and Favor is another example mentioned. They grew their international sales mix from just 3% up to 10%, largely by focusing strategically on the U.S. market. They didn't just open the website to U.S. visitors. They tailored their product presentation, they added specific sizing guides relevant for U.S. customers, they offered local shipping options and promotions, and really adjusted their marketing messages for that audience. It was about rolling out the welcome mat specifically for the U.S.
Right, not just unlocking the door, and for something different like home goods.
Delphilo, a bedding company, saw absolutely phenomenal growth, 1,000% over 4 years internationally.
1,000%. What was their approach?
It involved heavily adapting their marketing message to resonate with different local lifestyles, focusing intensely on user experience and design localization for each market, and really optimizing their local shipping options. They didn't just translate. It sounds like they completely recontextualized their brand for each key international market.
Those stories really drive home the impact of sweating the details, getting those local nuances right. Okay, so if someone listening is thinking, right, I need to get serious about this, what's the recommended first step? The article provides a kind of implementation roadmap.
It does. And it starts, logically enough, with an audit and assessment. Where are you right now? Look at your existing data. Do you get foreign traffic already? If so, from where? What are the conversion rates by region, even if they're tiny? What's the average order value looking like by currency? This initial data analysis helps you identify which markets might have the most immediate potential, or perhaps which ones present the biggest problems you need to solve first.
So you're not just guessing where to invest your time and money.
Exactly. Base it on data. And then the source suggests a phased implementation strategy. Crucially, don't try to boil the ocean. Don't try to do everything everywhere all at once.
Okay, so what might that look like practically?
Well, maybe month one is about tackling the quick wins. Things like activating Shopify markets for basic currency conversion and tax handling across the board, making sure your global shipping and returns policies are crystal clear and easy to find.
Low-hanging fruit.
Exactly. Then maybe the next few months, you focus on deeper changes, but just for your top 1, 2, maybe 3 priority target markets. That could be investing in high-quality content localization for those markets, setting up your initial A/B tests on key pages like the product page or cart for those specific regions.
Got it. Target your efforts.
Right. And then over the following year and beyond, it's about refining based on the data you're collecting, maybe cautiously expanding to new markets, and perhaps implementing some of those more advanced strategies like personalization or localized UGC campaigns.
Break it down into manageable steps. And I guess this isn't a one-time project, right? You set it up and you're done.
Absolutely not. That's the final crucial part of the roadmap. Measuring success and committing to continuous improvement. Set specific, realistic conversion rate benchmarks for each target region. Monitor all those key international metrics regularly: conversion rates, AOV, bounce rates, cart abandonment by region, and so on. Consumer behavior changes, technology evolves, competitors adapt. So continuous testing, tweaking, and optimization based on data are absolutely vital to first achieve and then maintain and grow your international conversion rates over the long term.
It really is an ongoing cycle of learn, adapt, improve. Looking even further ahead, what does the article suggest are the future trends we should be watching in international Shopify CRO?
It touches on a few really exciting areas. Emerging technologies are obviously huge. AI-powered translation is getting incredibly sophisticated, which could make high-quality localization much faster and potentially cheaper down the line.
Hmm.
We can see things like voice commerce becoming more viable globally, or augmented reality and virtual reality for virtual try-ons becoming more widespread. Imagine trying on clothes virtually from anywhere in the world. That could completely change the game for cross-border fashion e-commerce.
And predictive analytics. You mentioned AI earlier.
Yes, using AI not just to react, but to predict demand more accurately in different regions.
Yep.
To tailor everything from inventory planning to marketing messages based on anticipated local behavior, trends, even weather patterns. It's moving from reactive optimization to truly proactive predictive catering.
Wow. And beyond the technology itself, international consumer behaviors are still shifting, aren't they?
Definitely. We need to keep a close eye on trends like, say, Gen Z's growing preference for social commerce, buying directly within platforms like Instagram or TikTok. The success rate of subscription models might also vary significantly by region. What works in the US might not fly in Japan. And mobile commerce just continues its relentless growth, especially in emerging markets across Asia, Africa, Latin America. Staying adaptable, staying aware of these diverse and constantly changing behaviors is going to be absolutely key for future success.
This whole deep dive really underscores that succeeding internationally is so much more than just ticking a box and opening up your store shipping to the world.
It really is. It's about a deliberate, ongoing strategy. It's about finding that sweet spot, that balance between maintaining your core universal brand identity and weaving in those genuinely local touches, the things that make customers everywhere feel seen, understood, and ultimately comfortable hitting that buy button.
It sounds like a continuous process. Testing, learning, adapting constantly, because each market truly has its own unique pulse, its own demands.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Global growth isn't passive. It doesn't just happen. It requires really careful planning. It requires a deep curiosity and understanding of local nuances,
Yeah.
and definitely a commitment to continuous optimization driven by real data from those markets.
Okay, so to wrap things up, here's a provocative thought for you, our listeners, to mull over. As these emerging technologies we talked about, like truly sophisticated AI-driven predictive analytics or widespread AR and VR experiences as they become commonplace, how will they fundamentally change the relationship between global online stores and their culturally diverse shoppers? Will they end up homogenizing the experience somehow? Or could they actually enable even deeper, more nuanced, more truly local interactions than we've ever been able to achieve before?
It's a fascinating question. The potential is definitely there for much deeper connection.
Definitely something to think about. You've been listening to The Deep Dive, exploring a Shopify CRO for international stores, the conversion Bible, and how to supercharge your international Shopify conversions. And remember, this deep dive was powered by Growth Suite. Growth Suite helps you run smart discount campaigns right on your store to boost sales. Check it out for free on the Shopify App Store today.